Well, DeAndre Swift is making a bold proclamation. Apparently, his goal for the season, 1,000 rushing yards, 1,000 receiving yards, which obviously, if he hits that goal, he is a must-have in fantasy football. But are you buying what he's selling coming into 2022?
I don't see him getting 2,000 all-purpose yards this season. I think that's a little bit overachieving for him. He's a very good running back, very good young running back. He's going to grow. And yes, admittedly, he's talked about Duce Staley helping him out reaching those goals. I think he's a good coach, but it's ambitious.
I think what kind of concerns me with Swift is a little bit of an injury history. He's dealt with a little bit of shoulder concerns going back to college. And then I look at kind of how that backfield was set up. Williams obviously took carries away from him last year, and I imagine that that's going to carry into this year as well. And the Detroit offense isn't really fooling anyone. When you have Jared Goff as your quarterback, who's a fairly limited quarterback, all things considered, it's not going to be a pass-first offense. Obviously, it's going to be a run-first offense. I think in terms of what they can do vertically, I do like his receiving totals. He had 78 targets last year, so that's a good baseline. 62 receptions. As far as him being able to convert the extra 550 yards to reach 1,000 receiving yards, again, I have to sell that notion, but I love, honestly, DeAndre Swift this year. I think he's probably one of those guys that is going to be at the back end of the first round that could have top tier upside.
If you're sitting at the turn in a 12-team league, I think DeAndre Swift is a great place to start with your team. That said, 1,000 receiving yards is just too much for a guy who has averaged 7.3 this last season per reception. You'd have to bump that up a lot and still get a lot more catches than the 62 he had.
And then we have to depend on the Detroit Lions offensive line, hope that holds up, hope the offensive coaching is up to snuff. There's a lot of things working against DeAndre Swift, but a lot of the reasons to love him just in general. Again, I mentioned it, 62 receptions. That's a great baseline. If you want to talk about a guy who has a solid floor, a floor you can be happy with, he's going to give you that running back one floor. And he's definitely has top 5 ceiling in my mind. I think has a top 5 ceiling. If we're talking about 1,000 season, we're talking about, does he have the ability to be the number 1 overall running back by the end of the year? Do you buy that?
I don't buy that he could be the number 1 overall running back. I think the offense limits him too much.
Well, there you have it. All right, guys. Well, what do you think? Are you going to be targeting DeAndre Swift this coming year in fantasy football? Drop below in the comments. Leave a like on this video. From Ju-Ju Talk Sports and Andrew Hohman, stay safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you on the next one.